Have you ever watched a master watchmaker at work? The way they handle those impossibly tiny gears, the focus, the respect for the mechanism. They don't just grab a gear and shove it into place. First, there's a ritual. They prepare the workspace. They clean their tools. They examine the components under a magnifying glass. It's an act of preparation, an act of respect, because they know that the final performance, that perfect rhythmic tick-tock, depends entirely on the care they took before the assembly even began. What on earth does this have to do with you, in the privacy of your own home? Well, more than you might think. My name is Dr. Beatrice Shaw. For over 2 decades, I've been a urologist. I've had the privilege of sitting down with thousands of men just like you to talk about the most intimate aspects of their health. We've discussed everything from prostate cancer to erectile dysfunction to questions men have been too embarrassed to ask anyone else their entire lives. And today, we're going to talk about one of those topics, an act that is a normal, healthy part of male sexuality for a lifetime: masturbation. But we're not going to talk about technique or frequency or myths. We're going to talk about the preparation, the ritual. We're going to talk about the single most important rule for how you should wash your penis before you engage in this act of self-pleasure. And I promise you, by the end of our talk today, you won't see this as a chore or a trivial detail. You'll see it as the watchmaker does, an essential act of respect, self-care, and frankly, a way to unlock a much better, healthier, and more pleasurable experience. Stay with me. This is a conversation that is long overdue. All right, let's clear the air. For many men of our generation, the word masturbation itself can feel clinical or juvenile or even a bit shameful. It was something whispered about in locker rooms, not discussed openly with a doctor. But here, in this space, we're adults. We understand that our sexuality doesn't just vanish after 30, 40, or 50. It evolves, and self-pleasure is a fundamental part of that. It's a tool for stress relief, for self-discovery, and for maintaining sexual function. It's a private, personal, and perfectly healthy act. The reason we're focusing on the pre-masturbation hygiene aspect is because it sits at a critical intersection of health, pleasure, and self-awareness. What you do in those few moments before can have a profound impact on all three. So let's start with the medical foundation. Why is this more than just being clean? Your entire body, including your genital area, is home to a complex ecosystem of microorganisms. We call this the microbiome. When it's in balance, it's protective. But when that balance is thrown off, or when other substances are introduced, problems can arise. This is especially true for the penis, which is a surprisingly sensitive and delicate structure. First, let's talk about smegma. It's an unflattering word, I know, but it's simply a natural substance composed of shed skin cells and oily secretions called sebum. If you are uncircumcised, it can collect under the foreskin. If not cleaned away regularly, this buildup does 2 things. 1, it can develop a distinct unpleasant odor, and 2, it can become a breeding ground for bacteria. This bacterial overgrowth can lead to a very common condition I see in my clinic called balanitis. Balanitis is simply an inflammation of the glands or the head of the penis. It can cause redness, swelling, soreness, and sometimes a rash or a foul-smelling discharge. As you can imagine, this is the very opposite of pleasure. It's painful, and it's often preventable. Proper, regular washing is a key defense, and for my uncircumcised gentlemen, this is particularly crucial. When the head of the penis remains covered by the foreskin, the tissue can be more susceptible to this kind of inflammation and infection. So that daily act of retraction and washing is a powerful preventative measure. But it's not just balanitis. Poor hygiene can contribute to other issues as well. Bacteria can potentially find their way into the urethra, leading to uncomfortable urinary tract infections. While more common in women, men are certainly not immune, and the risk increases with certain conditions and age. There are also yeast infections, again often associated with women, but men can absolutely get them. A warm, moist, uncleaned environment, especially under the foreskin, is a perfect home for the Candida fungus to overgrow, causing an itchy, burning rash. And of course, while proper washing doesn't prevent sexually transmitted infections, only safe sex practices can do that, it is a cornerstone of overall genital health. So, the why is clear. We wash to prevent odor, discomfort, inflammation, and infection. But how does this tie directly to the act of masturbation? Imagine wanting to savor a fine wine, but the glass is dirty. Imagine a painter wanting to create a masterpiece, but the canvas is dusty and grimy. The friction and microabrasions that can occur during masturbation can introduce bacteria from an uncleaned surface into the delicate tissues of the glands or under the foreskin, potentially triggering the very inflammation we just discussed. An act that should be pleasurable becomes a source of pain and a potential doctor's visit. So, we arrive at the central theme of our talk today, the single most important rule. For years, men have asked me, "Doc, what's the best soap to use? Should the water be hot? Should I scrub hard?" They're asking for tactics, but they're missing the strategy. The most important rule isn't what you use, it's how you think. The rule is this: the principle of gentle diligence. Let's break that down. It sounds simple, but every word is chosen with purpose. Gentle because the skin of your penis, particularly the glands and the inner foreskin, is some of the most sensitive skin on your entire body. It is not the same as the skin on your elbow. It's more like the skin on your eyelids. You wouldn't scrub your eyelids with a bar of harsh deodorant soap, would you? Of course not. Aggression is your enemy here. It leads to irritation, dryness, and micro tears. Diligence, because this needs to be a consistent, thoughtful practice, not something you do sporadically or rush through. Diligence means paying attention. It means being thorough, but careful. It's the opposite of neglect. This principle, gentle diligence, is your North Star. It will guide every step of the process. So, let's walk through the how-to guided by this principle. Think of it as our watchmaker's ritual. Step 1. The water temperature, the Goldilocks zone. This is your first decision. And the answer is simple: lukewarm, not hot, not cold. Why? Hot water strips the skin of its natural protective oils. This leads to dryness, which can cause itching and irritation. On the other end, very cold water can be a shock to the system and isn't as effective at rinsing things away. Lukewarm water is the perfect balance. It cleanses effectively without causing harm. It's the essence of gentle. Step 2. The cleanser. Less is more. This is where most men get it wrong. They reach for their regular, highly scented, antibacterial body wash or deodorant bar soap and go to town. Remember our principle. Your genital skin's pH is delicate. These powerful soaps are designed for tough areas like your armpits. They are loaded with detergents, perfumes, and chemicals that can completely disrupt your natural microbiome, kill off the good bacteria, and cause contact dermatitis, an itchy, red rash. So, what's the answer? For many, the best cleanser is simply warm water. That's it. Especially if you're washing daily, warm water is often enough to rinse away sweat and any buildup of smegma. If you feel you need soap, you must choose wisely. You want something that is mild and unscented, something that is pH balanced, and something free of harsh detergents and dyes. A simple sensitive skin bar, a Cetaphil cleanser, or even a basic baby soap can work. But use it sparingly. A little goes a long way. This respects the gentle part of our rule. Step 3. The technique, the art of retraction and respect. This is the most critical mechanical step, and it's where diligence comes into play. For my circumcised gentlemen, your process is straightforward. Gently lather your hands if using soap, or just use water. Wash the entire shaft, the scrotum, and the glands. Be mindful and thorough. For my uncircumcised gentlemen, this requires an extra crucial step. You must practice gentle diligence here. Carefully and gently retract your foreskin as far as it will comfortably go. Never force it. If you have a condition called phimosis, where the foreskin is too tight to retract, do not force it. That is something to discuss with your doctor. But for most men, it will retract easily. Once retracted, you expose the glands and the inner foreskin. This is the area that needs cleaning. Let the lukewarm water run over it. If you're using soap, use your finger to apply a tiny amount and very gently wash the head of the penis and the fold of skin. Make sure to clean the area around the frenulum, the small V-shaped band of tissue on the underside. This daily act of retraction and cleaning is the single best thing you can do to prevent balanitis and odor. It is the epitome of diligence. Step 4. The rinse. Leave no trace. This is just as important as the washing. You must rinse thoroughly. Any soap residue left on the skin, especially trapped under the foreskin, can cause significant irritation. It defeats the entire purpose of being gentle. So, let the lukewarm water flow over the area until you are positive all the soap is gone. If you are uncircumcised, rinse thoroughly while the foreskin is still retracted. Step 5. The drying, the final gentle touch. You've been gentle and diligent so far. Don't ruin it at the last second. Do not grab a rough, used towel and vigorously rub the area dry. Instead, take a clean, soft towel and pat the area dry, gently. Pat the shaft, the glands, and the scrotum. For the uncircumcised, after patting the glands dry, gently return the foreskin to its natural position. It is very important to dry the area completely before putting on underwear to avoid trapping moisture, which can create a breeding ground for yeast and bacteria. And that's it. That is the ritual. Gentle diligence from start to finish. Temperature, cleanser, technique, rinse, and dry. It might seem like a lot written down, but in practice, it takes maybe 60 seconds, but it's a mindful 60 seconds. Now we've covered the why and the how, but I want to talk about the result. What does following this rule actually do for the experience of masturbation itself? This is where we move from clinical science to human experience. First, it heightens sensitivity. Imagine trying to appreciate the texture of fine silk while wearing thick leather gloves. It's impossible. A layer of smegma, oils, and dead skin cells is like a glove, dulling sensation. A clean, healthy, well-cared-for surface is far more responsive to touch. The nerve endings are more accessible. The experience becomes more physical, more vivid. Second, it creates psychological freedom. When you know you are clean, you are free from distraction. You aren't subconsciously worried about odor. You aren't feeling any sticky residue. This allows your mind to be fully present in the act, which is a key component of satisfying pleasure. You're not just going through the motions, you're able to inhabit the experience. Third, it improves the use of lubricant. As we age, we often benefit from using a high-quality lubricant. Applying that lubricant to a clean, dry surface ensures it works as intended. You aren't mixing your expensive lubricant with body oils and skin cells. You are getting the pure, slick, friction-reducing effect you paid for. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, this ritual becomes an act of self-examination. As you are gently washing, you are also observing. This is your moment to be diligent in a different way. You are taking inventory. Does everything look normal? Feel normal? Are there any new spots, sores, lumps, or areas of pain? Men, especially, can be masters of avoidance when it comes to their health. We ignore things, hoping they'll go away. This daily, gentle ritual forces you for just a moment to be a partner in your own health care. Catching a small issue early, be it a simple skin irritation, a wart, or something more serious, is one of the most powerful things you can do for your long-term health. Don't just wash, look, and feel. This is the ultimate expression of the watchmaker's respect for his craft. You are not just cleaning a part, you are caring for the entire mechanism. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about bacteriology and psychology, about smegma and self-respect. It all comes back to that one simple principle, gentle diligence. It's about trading the harsh, aggressive scrub for a knowing, careful touch. It's about trading mindless habit for mindful attention. This isn't about adding another tedious task to your day. It's about elevating a simple act of hygiene into a ritual of self-care that pays dividends in health, confidence, and pleasure. It's about treating yourself with the same respect you would afford a fine instrument, because that's what your body is. Masturbation, especially as we navigate the later chapters of our lives, is an act of self-connection. It's private. It's yours. The preparation for that act should be just as personal. It should be a quiet moment where you acknowledge and care for your body, not just for the sake of cleanliness, but for the sake of well-being. You are the watchmaker. Your body is the intricate timepiece. The care you take in the quiet moments of preparation determines the quality of its performance for years to come. I hope this conversation has been helpful and has perhaps shed a little light on a topic that often sits in the shadows. Look after yourselves and look after each other. If you found this talk valuable, I'd be honored if you'd click the like button and subscribe for more conversations like this one. And please, feel free to leave a comment below. I read as many as I can. Let's keep the respectful dialogue going. Until next time, be well.